You know, in the shadows of the G7, there's a quiet robbery taking place. But it's not happening in some bank vault. It's happening every time you're at the checkout counter. The Canadian economy has become a crime scene, and your grocery bill? Well, that's Exhibit A.
And that's the feeling, right? That's the sentiment echoing from kitchen tables all across the country. It's this deep sense that patriotism shouldn't have to cost you 8% more for a package of chicken. It's the feeling that something is fundamentally, deeply wrong when supporting your own country feels like you're being fined for it.
All right, let's get into it. Our investigation, it starts right where the crime is most obvious, the grocery store, because the official story that we're all being told, it just doesn't match the evidence we're seeing on the shelves.
And here it is. This is the central mystery. The Bank of Canada, they're telling us headline inflation is cooled off to a nice, manageable 2.3%. They're giving the statistical all clear. But you know what? That number is a mirage. The kitchen table reality, the number that actually impacts your family, is a blistering 7.3% for food, with some stuff exploding by nearly 20%. This isn't just a rounding error. This is what we're calling the Great Divergence.
And here's our first piece of hard evidence. $15.79 for a single kilogram of ground beef. I mean, come on, this isn't a luxury item. It's a staple. A price like this isn't just some inconvenience. It's a verdict on the health of our entire economy. It tells a story of a system that's failing the very people it's supposed to be serving.
So, you might be asking, is this just a global problem? Is everyone else suffering just as much? Well, the short answer is no. To really get to the bottom of this crime, we need to widen the investigation, see how Canada's stacking up against its peers. So let's take a look at the G7 Leaderboard.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because this is how we isolate the problem. Look at the headline numbers. We're all kind of in the same boat, right? But then, look at food. And even more specifically, look at meat and protein. A 9.4% spike in Canada compared to just 2.2% in the States. This is not a global phenomenon. This is a uniquely Canadian struggle.
And this just puts it in stark visual terms. We are at the very top of a leaderboard you never, ever want to win. We have officially entered what you could call the hard mode of the G7 economies. While other countries are starting to breathe a sigh of relief, we're being told to pay premium prices for a standard of living that is actively being downgraded in real time.
So what's actually causing all this? Well, it's a toxic cocktail of geopolitics and some serious structural rot. That frictionless border we used to take for granted, it's gone, replaced by U.S. tariffs that are getting close to 6%. Our loonie is struggling, just gasping for air at 72 cents U.S., which basically means we're importing inflation with every truck that crosses the border. And that Buy Canadian sticker? It stopped being a symbol of pride and has become a patriotism paywall, a premium that most families just can't afford to pay anymore.
Okay, let's put a human face on this crime. Our first victim profile is the public servant. For years, the golden handcuffs were the dream, right? A stable salary, a good pension. But in this new reality we find ourselves in, well, those handcuffs are starting to rust.
So here's the crucial point you have to get. Even if your paycheck looks exactly the same, you are taking a silent pay cut every single day. While your salary increases are locked in at, say, 2 or 3%, the true inflation of your life, the food, the gas, it's running at triple that speed. Your financial stability has been seriously nerfed.
This right here, this is the affordability gap. While your wages are slowly climbing at 3.4%, the cost of just feeding your family is jumping ahead at 7.3%. And that gap, it's not just a number on a chart. It's the silent cancellation of your family vacation. It's choosing the cheaper cut of meat at the store. It's the slow, steady erosion of your quality of life.
And here it is, the final verdict. Since 2019, the real value of 1 hour of your work, its actual ability to buy food, has dropped by 4.1%. You're not just working harder, you are literally eating less for the privilege. That is the quantifiable cost of our economic divergence.
So this brings us deeper into the investigation, because this isn't just about outside pressures. It's about a systemic failure, an internal rot that has made our whole economy fundamentally inefficient. We need to follow the money.
All right, here's a term you need to know if you want to understand what's really going on. It's called the Carcass Balance crisis. And believe me, this isn't good news. It's a distress signal coming from deep inside the market. It basically means the middle class has been squeezed so hard that demand for anything but the absolute basics has just collapsed. It's an economic warning flare.
And right here, this is the smoking gun. This is the Carcass Balance crisis in action. While the price of ground beef, the bare minimum, is skyrocketing by over 22%, the price of beef chuck, a budget cut, has actually fallen by 5.4%. So why would that happen? It's because people can't even afford the budget cuts anymore. It's a brutal market signal that consumers are completely tapped out, forced to trade down and down until there's nowhere left to go.
And this gets to the absolute core of the rot, maybe the original sin of the Canadian economy. We are all paying what you could call an inefficiency tax. Our labor productivity, our national output for every hour we work is flatlining. It's stagnant. But our unit labor cost, the price of doing business, it just keeps rising. I mean, think about that for a second. We are paying more to produce less. That is the literal definition of hard mode. It's a system that's just leaking value everywhere, and that cost gets passed directly on to you.
So who's benefiting from all this inefficiency? The main suspects are these: economic fortress states, the big three grocery oligopolies, and the protected class of supply management for things like dairy, poultry, and eggs. See, these aren't just businesses, they're entire systems that are insulated from real competition, protected by policy. They're the reason that, well, in a true market, prices drop when demand drops. But in hard mode, prices go up like a rocket, and they come down like a feather.
So, how do you play a rigged game? Well, you don't play by their rules. You min-max. Now, this isn't financial advice. Think of it as a survival guide. It's all about finding the glitches in the system and exploiting them for your own benefit.
Just 3 simple rules. First, you have to defy the patriotism paywall. If a made-in-counter product costs more than 10% extra, you just walk away. You cannot be asked to subsidize an inefficient supply chain with your family's future. Second, weaponize your cash. If your money is just sitting in a big bank savings account earning basically nothing, you are paying them to lose your money. Move it. Get a yield that can actually act as an inflation shield. And third, you shop the Carcass Balance. If beef chuck is down 5.4%, well, that's your new strategy. The market is giving you a clue because the rest of the country is too broke to buy it. Find that divergence and use it to win.
So our investigation into the grocery bill, it's revealed a system that's under an immense amount of strain. But this case file, it's really just the beginning. It's pointing to a much larger and, frankly, more unsettling mystery.
And here's the grim verdict. The system isn't broken. You see, a broken system produces random outcomes. This system is producing very consistent outcomes. It's been optimized for the status quo, for the benefit of those economic fortress states, not for you. They didn't give you a manual for how to play on hard mode. They just handed you a higher bill.
Which brings us to our final and kind of chilling question. If all the evidence of this economic crime is right there on your grocery receipt today, what does that mean for the money you're supposed to be counting on for tomorrow? If your grocery bill is a crime scene, what does that make your pension? The math just doesn't add up, and the rot, it goes a lot deeper than you think.